We should be streaming.
Streamy ominous.
I am watching to see that we are streaming. I got a red light. We are streaming.
Is people smiling? Smile just a little bit. It doesn't hurt that much.
What is it?
Hi, everybody.
Everything
We're streaming.
I'm dying. Hi, welcome. We are now live to the world.
Yes.
Hey,
Yes,
it's
we
us,
are.
your friendly Testify producers and friends.
Oh, yes. Our friends.
Hurricane coming from.
Yeah.
So we'll give it just a minute before we get started.
There's a little mic sound that's coming through.
Yeah. Oh, that's better.
Oh, what? Yeah.
Oh, no.
I'm hearing that too. I'm looking. Let's see where that's coming in.
Everybody could, this is fun. I'm glad that we're live for this. If we could,
Yes,
everybody
it's a
could
good
mute.
test.
Yeah, everybody could mute real quick. And then we'll come on one. Okay. It's Jack. Hi. Okay, I think everybody, for the most part, can come off of mute, and welcome to our streaming. So, if you are with us tonight through all of this, you are here because we are the producers of Testify. That's not why you're here. But for context, we are the producers of Testify, and we have called you here. No, we've gathered here tonight. No. But we just wanted to give you, our viewers, and probably also our storytellers and just our wider community, some information about decisions that we've made about Testify for at least the rest of 2020. As you may or may not know, there's the pandemic going on right now.
I heard about that.
Yeah, it's a little wild, you know, and I think everybody's lives have been impacted, particularly around large gatherings of groups of people. But there are other ways, certainly, that our lives have been impacted. So we did just want to take a moment to catch you, the viewer, and potentially also a storyteller, but certainly a story appreciator, about kind of what we've been doing and how we've been navigating. So, Paul, do you want to kick it off on your?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think last night I was TAing an improv class with my friend Shayna, and she made this passing reference, and it was really passing. We were waiting for everybody to gather, and she said, "I really just wanted to do something that I'm good at." And I don't know if you've ever had somebody say something near you or read something and like a little gong goes off in your head. And I went, oh crap, that's what I've been doing since March. I've been trying to find things I love to do and make sure I can still do them, because all the things I can't do, I'm kind of, okay, I can't do those, but what can I do? And I've just been layering these things on and putting them in front and trying to stay super busy, focused on them and not think about the other things. And I think those bad days, that's when that happens. But like today, I woke up, and it was in direct reference to what Shayna said. I woke up this morning and I said, I'm going to do 20 miles on my bike. The most I have done is 16, but I'm going to get on my bike and I'm going to go 20 miles. I have no idea where I'm going. I'm just going to ride till I get to 12 miles, and then I'm going to turn around and it'll be fine. And I got to 12 miles and I went, oh, I think I'm going to die. It must be like 100 degrees outside right now, or feels like it. And I'm like, I don't know if I have enough water, and I think I'm gonna die before it's been an hour. I've been out on the road for an hour, and I'm gonna. And then I went, I'm still in Austin. I can call my wife, and she can come pick me up. It's not terrible, and I actually like riding the bike. And I looked at the hill in front of me, and I said, you know what, I can do this. And I climbed the hill. I got as far as I could into the hill. I got off my bike. I walked for a little while, and then I got back on the bike about 100 feet more, and I was like, I can do this. And I put a beeline back on my bike to go straight home. Like, okay, I'm done. I'm not going to get to 20 miles. And at 17 and a half miles, I went, well, it's only another 2.5 miles. I could just go down to Barnes and Noble and then come back. And I started to get down to Barnes and Noble, and it was about 18 and a half miles in. And I'm like, no, I should just go home. I should just go home. And I turned around and I passed my house again. And I finished, when I pulled in, I was at 20.2 miles. And I was like, okay, it turns out I am doing things I love, and that's okay.
Aww.
Wow. No, I've not been. I wouldn't. I mean, good on you for loving bike riding.
I love
don't.
ultimate, but if I talk about it, I'll just cry. So I love bike riding right now.
Yeah. Angela, how are you? How are you hanging in there?
I don't, definitely not as inspiring. Maybe the most inspiring realization is the total opposite of Paul, that maybe I'm part cat, because like I just love just being around the house. I'll go to one room, another, or maybe just, I kind of put on Psych again. Like
We've been watching Psych.
Yeah. I just, because I've seen them all, and I think I just put on season 6 just because, and I fully intend to listen to my audiobooks more. And so I don't know, and sometimes days just kind of days all kind of blend together, and I'm trying to give myself a little bit of like grace in terms of like, I haven't done my huge to-do list, or maybe a good walk with the dogs is okay, or maybe just kind of like, making sure the kitchen is still good is like, but other than like a crushing to-do list on top of like everything. And then trying to Google safe day trips, COVID-19, day trips, pet friendly, COVID-19. Yeah, so that's been my past few weeks. I did get a stationary bike. It's on its way.
Yes.
So not quite 20 miles yet, but maybe.
We're gonna go ride
One
and
day
see.
I'll be like Paul. So that's it for me.
But like in a living room.
In the living room, yeah. Like, with the dogs and the cats around me.
As God
And
is
Psych on.
That's with cycle.
Yeah.
Lottie, how's your
Well,
how are you hanging in there?
I think everyone knows by now that I'm really just an animal human being. That's what I love animals. So I've been really sad because I miss all the dog walking and everything that I do. I miss them. But what's interesting is my boss calls me because every once in a while something happens and I have somebody that says they're going to be gone. They need someone, and I'm like, yes. They said, but it's only for an hour. I'm like, yes, I will go do this. But what's nice is there's a couple of dogs, Zip and Marley is very standoffish. She was always this way, and slowly she's gotten to where she's really used to me. And I realized something was odd about this once when I was there. The mother had stayed home because she had the flu, but didn't cancel because she didn't want to walk her dogs. And as I'm there, she came out to say hi, and I'm carrying Marley, and she's just staring at me, and I'm looking at her like, she says, I've never been able to pick up Marley. I'm not sure why you're able to pick her up. And I said, she says, she won't let me do anything like that. As I put on her harness, she says, she just let you put it on? And I said, yes, I'm so sorry. She says, no, This is wonderful. I'm glad she does this for someone. But what this reminds me of is, I think there's something inherent in the way we are, and we're not able to necessarily see it. Because with all our pets, even when we had 3 dogs and 5 cats when we lived in California, Chris and I were jealous of each other because he was everyone's best friend. When we came home together, they were rolling on the floor. They were like, yay, Chris is here. We're going to roll. We're going to do this. But if he told them to do anything, they looked at him like he was absolutely out of his mind. They were like, you are just another dog. What do you think is going on? And I would say, and everyone came in the house because something about me, they recognized, okay, he's the food guy. He's the one in charge. We do what he says. Chris is cool and we love him, but we do it. We do what he said, which you would see at night when we would go to bed because Chris was absolutely animal free. And I had 5 cats on top of me and a dog between my legs and another one scrunched on my pillow. And I don't know why they had to do this, but I've been missing this so much. And I was walking with Steve this morning. We were walking throughout the neighborhood and I was just sad because I missed all these animals. And there's this lady who is throwing a fit in her truck. She's just yelling and doing things, and I'm looking at her. Don't know what's going on. And Steve was like, maybe we should just turn. And I was like, I'm sure she's not going to yell at us. And as we get up, I realize she's bothered because her dog has gotten away from her and she's chasing him down. And I'm just looking at this, and Steve was just walking because his favorite thing, if something is going on around him that's not supposed to be going on, his favorite thing is to keep going. And I would probably do that, except it's a dog. So I'm just looking at the situation, and I just sat down in the middle of the street because nothing's happening. No one's driving anywhere. And as soon as I sat down in the middle of the street, the dog came and sat right next to me, and I was able to pet him. And then I just grabbed his collar, and the mother just looked at me and said, thank you so much. I laughed because I can imagine she's exactly how Chris would have been, because he would have been trying to catch these animals and they wouldn't have come to him for the life of him. But something about me makes me the guy that's like, we'll do what he says. And I don't know what it is, but I'm glad. And it was so nice just to be able to pet a dog.
I'm trying to picture you as the authoritarian in the relationship. And it's a struggle, but I love it.
Yes.
And it's just another little layer of Lottie that I am excited to like see how that fits in.
I don't know how it came to be, but it was. And they decided it. There was a time when Chris used to rescue animals, and he brought this little puppy home. She had mange, so we couldn't take her to the pound. We had to clean her up before anything could happen to her. We had 2 cats at the time, Tuesday and Monday. And they decided that it was my fault. Yes.
When you had 5 cats.
No, we stopped. That was a Houston thing. When we moved to California, we changed. We had Tuesday and Monday, and they decided it was my fault that this dog was here, not Chris's. So he had a desk. I had a desk right next to each other. They pulled all of my stuff off of my desk, my keyboard, my paper. They took turns peeing and crapping on it. And then they pulled more stuff down on top of it as if, and I knew what they meant was, we don't know what's going on, but you handle this. And they didn't do anything to Chris because they knew he wouldn't.
Right. They're
said,
like,
you handle this. So but I turned to Chris and say, you find a home for this dog in the next. And he did. We found a home within the week. We were very happy. But for some reason, I'm the one. They come to me. I'm the problem solver of pets, and I don't understand.
For good and for bad.
It was very sad.
Yeah.
I had to get a new keyboard. You just can't clean poop out of certain things.
Many things. Yeah. Mick, you're joining us. You're gonna share a little bit with us. But how's your quarantine going? You were mentioning that space is a little bit different than.
Yeah, everything's just cycles. There's just like days where I've got this, it's fine. I don't even leave my house when I had the option that much, so it's fine. And then yeah, my partner and I share like a house, and I came in one day basically and was just like, we have to move today. Like we cannot live here anymore. And we have a house in Atlanta that's an older house, and it doesn't have like a solid foundation. It has a pier and beam foundation, and all I want to do is buy a treadmill, but I would shake the whole house down. So like there are days that I'm just like, yeah, but when we move and I get a treadmill, it's gonna be fine. And then there are days that I'm just like, no, this is how we're living right now. So I am reading big books, which I normally don't do. So I'm just like, big, fat, juicy novels bring me the super long ones that I never have time to read. And I'm watching a lot of movies. I'm just burning through a lot of like my cues in everything. So that has been helping.
Yeah, it's expanding your world.
I'm just
in a way.
And I'm just consuming. I feel like I have no stories to produce. I feel like my parents were like, we haven't heard from you in a while. And I'm like, I have done nothing. But you know, it's been very exciting, and in some ways been able to like help me recharge a little bit to just watch really cool things. And kind of see what other people have been making.
Oh, that's cool. I'm excited about this Princess Bride redo. I don't know if y'all have heard about this, but it's people thought, I'll send you a thing on it. I don't mean to plug it. I'm not being paid for this.
Are you in it? Are you Buttercup?
I'm not.
Yes,
I'm not.
perfect Buttercup.
Look, y'all, I wouldn't be Buttercup. I would be
the old woman.
Mission Max's wife.
She had the best lines in the damn movie.
That's why that's why that's my role, Paul.
Yes.
Good
call.
Thank you. I am excited to watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say, similarly, yeah, I am in a very small space that I share. And some days I'm like, this is so cute. And someday when we're in a big space, we're going to look back at this little space and laugh. And then other days I'm like, I'm stuck in hell and the walls are closing in and we have too much stuff and I hate everything and it's never going to be better and it's going to be bad forever. So really go in between those two. It's never in the middle, right? It's either like, we're going to look back and laugh on this someday, or I'm like, there is no someday. This is forever. We have gotten out a bit. We've done a bit of like what you were talking about, Angela, like the social, we haven't had to worry about a pet because we can't take Sally, the cat, anywhere, but we have done like hiking. You have to go and what I like about the Texas state parks is it's very limited. Like you have to book it in advance. And it's been clear when we've gone that it's nowhere near what we would have considered like capacity by any means whatsoever. So it's pretty vacant. And actually, like my partner Alex and I, when we've gone hiking, it's usually, I would say 70 to 90% of the time we've just been alone and not near anyone. We do have our like little masks to pull up, just in case. And I've learned that I cannot judge 6 feet to save my life because someone will be, what I'm told is 20 feet away. And I'm like, put on your mask. And he's like, that's 20 feet away. And I'm like, looks like 6 to me. We also, I will say though, we did go out to some of the protests. And so as a result, back when the mayor was suggesting that people who went to some protests, we talked about the risk, but we ultimately decided that, some things are important enough to risk yourself and your health for in safe ways. Like we wore masks and we were near people that were in masks and pretty much everybody had masks. But they did say, if you went down here, you should get tested. So Alex and I went and got tested in the car through Travis County. We had several false starts. One time we went to the testing center, and between the traffic to get into the testing center and the traffic just on I-35 right there, because of course there's construction, right? They're like, where should we put this testing? Where should we put the one Travis County testing center in Austin? Let's put it in the middle of I-35 construction. But so anyway, we missed our 30-minute window just trying to get into the place. So we had to reschedule, and then the system went down, and then finally we made it. And it is an experience to, from what I hear, I've never actually had like the flu swab before, but I hear it's similar to that, but they take a very long Q-tip and they have you tilt your head up, which is a very unflattering angle on a camera. I learned. I made Alex film my test, and they stick it so far up your nose, and I thought it was really far up my nose, and then the guy instructing the woman was like, okay, now keep going, and I was like, no, but how? Except I couldn't say that because I'm very still. I stayed very still for this, so it went up even further, like up like how is there still space? Like how is there still space? And then I just kind of sat there, and then they took it out, and then I was like, made a little like whoo noise, and then they were like, you can roll up your window, and I was like, thank you, and then like my eyes just streamed water, but it didn't hurt. It didn't hurt. It was weird, but it didn't hurt. And it was really funny. Because it's about the time, like right after this, the Saharan dust blows in, and like I get migraines, but I'm also, and I will say I'm a very like medically anxious person anyway. So I've spent this whole time, every time I cough for whatever reason, like at one point I was sitting at home alone and I ate a chip and then I choked on that chip. And then as I was choking on the chip, I asked myself out loud, is this a dry cough? As I'm choking on it. So anyway, we got he got his test back on Saturday that said he was negative. And I got my test back on Sunday that was negative. And by the time we got these tests back, they were no longer valid as to whether or not you know what I mean? Like just from the length of time and like exposure, right? Just not that we're doing anything terribly risky, but if you think about it, from the time that we were exposed to the time that we got tested to the time that we got results back, they're basically no good, except that at least in retrospect, right? Like, I can't say for right now, negative. But I could. Exactly. I was like, but at least my anxieties about whether I gave anybody anything for that 3-week window, I didn't. And so I think that's, it was the strangest peaceful feing. I think one of the strangest peaceful feelings I've ever had. So, yeah. So that's us, and that's how we're managing this. But you didn't just come here, if anybody's still here, you didn't just come here to listen to us talk about our COVID lives. You are also here to hear us talk about some decisions that we've made for this upcoming year. But actually, real quick, Paul, if you could do a shout out for Miss Teresa.
Yes, and I think part of what happened for us is how do we go forward, and how do we go forward during these protests, and how do we be good allies and friends, and how do we support our friends? And we reached out to one of our friends, Teresa Roberson, and we said, hey, talk to us. Give us some conversation about what this is. And she was great, really kind and generous with her time, and sat with us and talked with us. And it was just a wonderful thing. And we wanted to reach out and thank her. And we wanted to thank her very specifically. We want to tell you about her 2 blogs. Yes, she doesn't have just one, she has 2. And I think she's got a podcast right now. So it's not like she's just sitting idly by and had time to talk with us. She took time away from what she was doing to sit with us. And here's her bio. International math science teacher, 1992 to 2014, author, spoken word poet, and producer of one of my favorite shows, The Austin Writers Roulette, from 2012 to 2019, not there anymore, very sad. Teresa Roberson writes based on her survival skills honed through teaching and traveling globally, cooking ethnic food, doing yoga, dancing, and challenging society's preconceived ideas about minority women. Her latest adventure is bringing her podcast, CBD and Poetry, to life. So we'll post both of her blogs, mathreads.com and austinwritersroulette.com, where you can go back and look, because she's recorded all of these things. You can go back and look at some of the awesome shows that she produced. Anyway, Teresa, we love you, and thank you so much for talking with us and being such a dear friend to the show.
And it is, although I think we miss Austin Writers Roulette. It was a really, really fantastic show, and Testify actually benefited from a number of people that performed on that show that Teresa was kind enough to send our way. So she's been, we've had a long time. It's not a new appreciation for her.
And I have a picture of her here. I'd love to share it if that's cool. I think I can do that. We're going to see if I can do that. I'm new at sharing. We're going to try it. I think that's it right there. No, that's not it. I failed.
It's okay.
Okay. Sorry.
No worries. So that was, that certainly played into kind of, how we're taking the show moving forward. And I think probably one of the biggest changes that we wanted to talk about was that we as a team have decided that throughout the rest of 2020, Testify is going to move to a solely virtual format. It's not an easy decision, but with Austin's numbers rising, and Texas's numbers rising, and a survey of Austin audience members and about how comfortable they feel and when they might feel comfortable going back, we have made the decision to just go ahead and say the show is going to be virtual at least through 2020. My thought is probably through part of, hopefully only part of 2021 as well, but we're just looking at 2020 right now. We want Testify to be as accessible as possible, and a lot of our storytellers and a lot of our audience members fall into high-risk demographics. Now, we do also realize that there are other accessibility concerns about going to an online-based show, but at the end of the day, we think safety is probably one of the most important factors into this, and we just can't justify risking putting any of the people that we care about at risk. And we don't foresee a solution to that risk happening in 2020.
Yeah.
Now, this is not a forever decision. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it will always look like Zoom. If we can get to a point where numbers are contained, where we've got some reasonable other solutions, where we could potentially have our storytellers and our producers be in a spot and broadcast from that spot, that is certainly something that we will look into once it seems appropriate. But we also understand that this is not that time. And again, it's difficult right now to see that time happening this year. Now, things move quickly, as we see. Murder hornets, what? But so that is to say, we're certainly going to be as agile with this response, and we're going to try to be as fluid as possible. But we really like to set expectations here at Testify, both for our storytellers and our audience. And as of right now, the expectation is that we will be virtual, and that virtual will be most likely through Zoom. With all of this, this is a Band-Aid. We are not transitioning to a virtual show. We have absolutely no interest in we've talked about it very specifically, and we have no interest in becoming an online only show. This is mostly to get us through this period of time, still hearing and telling stories, but in a way that is compatible with the health and safety and bodies of the people who are participating in it. So we cannot wait for the day that we get to go back. But here's where we are now, and we want to be realistic and we want to be honest and upfront about that. So what does this mean? I think, Angela, if you could take it.
What does this mean? This means cats and dogs in everyone's Zoom window all the time. No, at least at my house. No, but what it really means is that we realize that the thing that makes our show very special is the environment that we curate for not just the performers, but the audience members. So we're trying to keep that as close to what you may recognize as possible. So that means we're moving our show back to the last Thursday of the month at 8 p.m. and going with our normal 5 storyteller format. So the show this month will be July 30th, Thursday, and that will be something that is still going to be a constant. Starting this month, the show will be free, but in August, we're going to make moves to start with a ticketed format, keeping the price at $5, just like you would at the door. And we're always looking for storytellers. So the search is still there for storytellers, and you can still go to the website, testifyatx.com, and submit a story. You can still look at the themes for the upcoming shows on our website and submit a story for a theme that you think fits. When we book a performer, the story times will be a little bit shorter for the online format than the in-person. So 9 to 11 minutes instead of 11 to 13. So we hope to keep as close to giving our virtual performers the feeling of what a real Testify show is. It is real Testify. It's not like fake Testify because it's virtual.
It's virtual Testify.
Virtual Testify, real versus
yeah.
Not real, not life.
We call it the Testify experience.
The alternate reality Testify. But but we wanted to make sure that that it's still a special space on the internet. And we're going to make sure that if you're a virtual performer, you're going to get the same attention and kind of the preparation and the walkthrough and the access to us that you need to make sure that you feel comfortable sitting in front of your computer or phone, wherever you're going to be, and telling your story to our community. So that's what this means as far as our show so far.
Yeah.
How's that, Kate?
I think Lottie is here with an update about what it'll mean for our performers, our storytellers.
Well, if you want to tell a story, please just go to testifyatx.com/submissions and fill out a form. We'd love to hear from you. And, the basics of an idea is fine. You don't have to have a fully fleshed out story. The heart of the story is what you need, and the willingness to tell it and be on screen and share it with our people and us. That's really it. And I've heard from people that I know have submitted. So I know there's people who have already submitted for the live show. And because of the changes, like Angela mentioned, the changes in time and stuff like that we're working on, if you want to go ahead and work with us on the virtual show, fill out the form again, if you don't mind. And if that seems like a lot of work, contact one of the producers. You probably know most of us, or at least one of us, and let us know, and we'll see what we can do. And the thing you'll need is a way to get to the internet, which, Zoom stuff. I'm not really great about this stuff. I know it's here, so it's working. So that's basically what you have to know. I know that Paul and Angela are very good at getting people virtual should there be problems on your end. But that's it, and if there's a problem and you can't get to the internet, there might be a way that we can help you.
Yes.
And even better, you don't have to be in Austin. This is a worldwide event now. Yay! You can be anywhere. Of course, in certain places, you'll be telling a story at midnight. Or Mick, what time was it when you were telling a story here? Are you
I'm
up
just
late?
1 hour. I'm only 1 hour ahead. So
1 hour.
I got to bed at a good time.
Oh, well, see, that is good. So see, you don't even have to be here. We'd love to have you. Check out the website. Join us, please. We're hungry for more storytellers.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you go to the site to submit your story, as Lottie said, testifyatx.com/submissions, just rolls off the tongue. And our themes are staying the same. So if you just check out the themes there, and if you've got a story that resonates, submit it for one of those. Otherwise, if you're not sure, we'll find one for it. So just send it in, but do let us know on the form that that you are interested in performing virtually. But yeah, thank you so much, Lottie. And I do want to just take a moment to talk about how we're sad.
Why are you sad?
I
am here to keep you from being sad.
Yay.
sure, yay.
Perfect timing.
Perfect timing, Ellen. Well, we're talking about our decision to make the show virtual for the rest of 2020. And
Okay.
We're a little bit sad because we love a live show. It's why we started one in the first place. Because we love being in the room and getting to hear people speak their truth and be present for it all in the same room.
Okay.
There is something about an audience being there in the space with you that, in my opinion, as a producer and sometimes performer of this show, there is nothing like a live audience that is there in your corner wanting you to succeed. And that is probably being in the same place with you, our audience, is what we're probably the saddest about. Although, as well as being in the same place with you, our storytellers. So I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge the fact that we will be grieving. This is a decision that we are excited about, but we do want to take a moment, because man, if that isn't Testify, just take a moment to acknowledge what you're sad about while you're also happy. But all that to be said, while there are things that we're going to miss about our in-person show that we cannot wait to get back to, there are other things that we are excited about what we'll be able to do with this slightly different format. And I think Paul was going to talk about that just a little bit.
I know this sounds crazy, but at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time, I performed in a show in Montreal today. And I was sitting in the same space I'm sitting in right now, talking to you. And that was the coolest thing. And that's the third time I performed in Montreal since all this started. I've also performed in London. I performed in New Zealand. I'm getting out and getting around because I can't get out and get around. And if that isn't like the coolest, most exciting thing ever, I don't know what is. We are not bound anymore by space and time. We get to be where we want to be with people who want to do what we're doing. And we want you to be here with us and be excited to be here and share your story because we want to hear it.
I can live with that.
Okay. Excellent. Well, as you can see, Mick and Ellen, Ashley McKelvey is what it says on the screen there, and Ellen are here, and they're going to talk about their experiences about what it's been like to be on the show now that we've been in this virtual moment in time. And so, Ashley, I'm going to call you Mick because that's weird. Mick, could you tell us, because I want to just point out that Ellen is just to the side of you, and Ellen has used a phone. She literally used a phone. You had a professional
Oh,
TV movie producer guy.
Oh my God.
Running more lighting and stuff. So tell us about your experience.
yeah, I did, but only because I live with one.
That's true.
So yeah, there were a couple of things. So one of the things, because I live with a lighting guy, is he took every lamp in the house, and we put them in like kind of a little arch, so that it was lit from every side. And that was cool. I also had to think about whether I wanted to be sitting or standing, and I'm so used to telling a story standing up and moving that I did that, and didn't realize not everybody else was doing that. It felt a little weird, but in the moment, it felt the most comfortable to be standing and to be able to kind of do things and move around a little bit.
It looked good.
Thanks. It required a lot of books. It required a lot of like stacking to make sure it wasn't like just, this, which is what I probably would have done left to my own devices. But I liked being able to stand. I think the other thing, I've always liked the Testify process where you pitch and then you tell the story, you get one out of your system, and you learn a lot that way, and then you perform the story. I think that I wish I had mentioned how much I dreaded the idea of like, when I'm talking to a computer, I'm talking to myself. I was seeing myself on screen, and that unnerved me a little bit. And so I think there are ways around that. I just didn't think to ask about good solutions to that. And I think that's an easy fix that makes it a little less, I'm performing to myself, which is a little weird. And then I really appreciated that you guys left the audio lines open so that you could hear, like I could hear Kate's laugh, or I could hear people react a little bit. That did give me at least some feedback, which feels really good when you're performing.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Ellen, you sat and used your phone and
Yeah.
told us stories that were so powerful and so excited and made us so interested and so wanting to be with you when you were sharing them. But we were. Can you tell us what it was like on the other end where you are and what your experience with Testify is?
Oh God, I'm such a shameless ham. It just, I think a lot of this comes from having told my daughter stories when she was a little kid, and I still love Winnie the Pooh. So in Winnie the Pooh, I would assume a whole bunch of different voices, like for Eeyore, I sounded like that. And for Piglet, I sounded like that. And for Christopher Robin, I sounded like this. And she just loved that. And I know it was corny, but it stayed with me. And when I was in England, when I lived in England, I volunteered with the Little Theatre of Leicester. And I got a couple of minor roles in a couple of plays. And I discovered that I really enjoyed it. And I hadn't quite found that outlet for being a ham until I found Testify. Although I'm going to surprise you because, you guys are so used to having me sort of lighthearted. I've got a kind of dark story that I'm going to lay on you, probably around, I don't know, Easter. Yeah, that's a time for dark story. No.
Yeah.
Christmas. I'll tell you a really downer.
We'll just go ahead and book you right now for our potluck show in November for a dark Ellen Sweets tale.
It's what I do.
And how did you find kind of the difference of telling via Zoom and talking to your phone versus like being in front of, a crowd?
I just pretended I was talking to more people.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
I didn't think of it in terms of just talking to my phone. I could see you guys. I could see you a little bit. And that was cool. That's fun. I'm a ham. What can I tell you?
No, that's perfect. I think what we'll find is we navigate through this is that different, as with everything else, anything in the world, right? Some things will be a struggle to one person, and some things won't necessarily be as big of a deal. And some person will have professional grade lighting, and another person will have Zoom on their phone.
Whoa. Another person won't.
Yeah, no, nobody in this household has professional lighting.
I also I think I've been in Texas long enough to really like to tell stories. I like to tell stories. I like to hear stories. And it's really kind of surprising. You go to other places, other parts of the country, and people are not that into storytelling. Maybe in New York, maybe Chicago. And I think a lot more in the South. I think Southerners are really into stories. And I didn't find that quite so much other places I've lived. So I'm having a good time, even stuck inside.
Even stuck inside.
Yeah.
It's a nice window, I think.
Yeah.
I was a little dubious before our first show about how a storytelling show would feel virtually versus how it would feel in the venue. And I will say, until it was over and I remembered that I wasn't actually in the same place with anyone, it felt a lot like I got the same feelings from people telling their stories. So much so, actually, that I think it was an even more severe drop when everything ended and it was just me alone in my living room. And I was like, wait, what? Hold on. And so, I think that's one of there are a number of reasons why we are continuing or what, right?
Okay.
And how much we love stories and how much we hope that everybody that's a part of our community loves stories.
Sure.
Yeah, it's just, we find it important. So,
do you know how many people have tuned in
today?
Right
Well,
now?
no, when we did last Thursday.
I think we had 25, 30 people.
All
Which was-
right.
Yeah. But I think we can.
That was live. So
Yeah.
because the shows are all on those venues where they can be watched later, other people may have watched them as well.
Oh, okay.
We'll start kind of looking into analytics now that we're a little bit more dedicated to this format. Because before we were just kind of like, we'll do what we can to get through.
Right.
But now that we are kind of, this is what we're going to be doing for the foreseeable future. We are going to look a little bit more into our analytics and kind of what is easiest for people to find the show and how we get it out there a little bit more, and those sorts of things. So,
Okay.
Yeah. But it was Ellen, for anybody watching, was on our most recent show. And actually Mick was on our first virtual show. And so was on our second virtual. You were on the second virtual show.
Jack was on the first one.
Yeah. And so it's a journey that we're all on together.
Well, life is all about change. So
yeah, actually stories. That's one of our big points about stories. Stories are all about change. Now you have to know what that change was. You want to tell that story. But as soon as you do, I know. Well, that's why I can't tell really the story of what this period of time means.
Okay.
But we can tell other stories.
Right.
And to anybody watching, we want you to tell stories and we want you to come tell stories with us. And if anybody is still watching and you have any questions for us, whatever platform you're on, feel free to just type it into the comments and we will look at them and we will answer them. I call Facebook. I don't know if somebody can see into YouTube right now.
I will look over at YouTube.
You don't have to have a question.
No.
If you do have a question, I don't know how you could have a question because we've given you a lot of information.
Yeah.
But
There are
if you
no
do have
other
a question, it's right now. Question?
Then I'll just make a little comment. I'm not going to be able to stay with you real long.
No.
But this is so much fun. I am so glad I found Testify.
Oh, we're so glad that you found Testify. I believe we have former producer Aaron File to thank for you finding Testify, and I think we owe her
Oh yeah.
a lot.
A lot of
should
beer.
send her some cookies.
Cookies. Okay, sorry. I
Yeah,
jumped to beer.
yeah. Well, whatever. We owe her.
Yeah.
For bringing you into the Testify fold, because we're glad.
Well,
to-
I'm
Thank you for
glad.
stopping by tonight, and feel free to go whenever.
Okay, guys.
Yeah,
I'm gonna check out. I'll see you guys later.
Thank you, Ellen.
Thank you.
Sure.
Much.
Bye.
Oh my.
I don't know how to get out of
You
here.
have to hit leave. You have to hit leave.
What the hell?
Yeah.
You should
have
talk to
a
Eric
little
Delaney.
Have a little red leave button.
Oh, that one. Okay. I'm gonna get this right before I die. I know it.
And many times after that, I'm sure. It'll be great.
I'll come back.
Right.
Bye.
Bye, I guess. I don't know. Here we go.
I think that reminds me of one of my favorite A.A. Milne quotes. I'm not lost, for I know where I am, but however, where I am may be lost.
That ties in well.
Yeah, right? Right? It does seem to just fit.
Yeah. Particularly with Ellen's inspiration. Yeah. Well, if nobody has any questions,
I see none.
we've taken up enough of your time, and thanks for watching. We'll put all of this information out in a post. We'll have it up on our website. It will be for everybody who's not watching. I'm talking to you right now. We'll get this information. You don't even know it, but we'll get this information to you. And Mick, thank you so much. And Jack, I think something happened. But
Jack did buzz in, said not going to be able to join tonight, but
yeah. But we'll have Jack back.
yes,
But
Jack's
thanks for
coming.
trying, Jack. And Mick, thank you for coming and sharing your experience. And
All
now
three.
that we're virtual, like,
I'm gonna see your faces a lot more, and
Okay,
I am
good.
excited about it. I'm pumped for it.
Super
Yay.
excited. Super excited.
Well, we look forward to seeing your face and your face, people watching. And your face, people not watching who don't know it, which maybe makes it seem creepy, but it's not.
We want you to.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you all so much for joining us for this call, and we look forward to you coming to see our show and coming to tell a story. Thank you.
Good night.
Adieu.